race into the month of July here at the Stafford Motor Speedway, but not before a very eventful Friday night to end the month of June last week, capped off by our annual fireworks celebration. A lot of fireworks in the air, a lot on the racetrack as well.
That fireworks show was amazing, and shout out to Eric Tavares, one of our photographers. He had an amazing shot of the fireworks display. Great crowd, perfect weather for that fireworks show. It was worth it at the end. It may have taken a bit to get there because there was a lot that happened on Friday night.
Including another incredible SK modified feature. This division has been the talk of the track all year long. Another spectacular finish.
There's a reason why they talk about it every Friday night, because every week the racing has been spectacular. Last week was no different. Troy Talman gets his second win of the year, had to hold off Mike Christopher Jr., Andrew Moeller, and Michael Jarvis Jr. Three drivers who I think were faster than Talman in those last 5-10 laps, but Talman held on for dear life in the end, got the victory. He made his car pretty wide, but it worked out in the end. Talman, it took him a while to get his first SK win. Now he's got two in a matter of a couple months. It was not a fluke. I think when people saw him win the first time, they knew it wasn't a fluke, but he further proved that it wasn't a fluke. That three's been fast all year long. Got to keep it more consistent like Andrew Moeller, our point leader. Top fives in every feature up to this point. He was battling up there for the win, came up a little bit short, but again, that consistency pays off for the 85.
And you mentioned the top four, just out of the top four in fifth, Keith Rocco. Another good run for him after a nice bounce back from the incident 2 weeks ago.
And an issue in the heat race, which is why he started back in 22nd, made his way forward, made some passes on the outside, which we haven't seen a whole lot of this season except for him and Mike Christopher Jr. when he made the pass for second last Friday. That 22, they're close. It's like last year. They came close to getting what they wanted, and once they got the car hooked up, they were fast. They won back-to-back weeks last year. They won the TC13 last year. We know what Rocco can do with Michael Sullivan and the 22 Avery team. They just need a bit more in that car, and they'll be fighting for the win every week.
Speaking of bouncing back, our late model winner wasn't even able to start the feature event 2 weeks ago and got back to victory lane last Friday night.
That's how you get it done. Chris Meyer takes the win, his second career late model victory. Wasn't the cleanest of passes for the lead. He gave Tom Fern the bumper in turn one. Tom made an incredible save, but Meyer came out with the lead and held on for the win, holding off Wayne Corey Jr. and Paul Verrecchio Jr. A lot of juniors in that podium top three. Meyer, you talked about that bad luck he had the week before. All types of mechanical problems. Couldn't even make the start. He's been decent this season. He's had good speed, but not winning speed. That changed on Friday night. He rented the track before the event. Maybe that's the secret, Kyle. Rent the track. We've seen that a few times last year, and we saw it again last Friday with Meyer. Great run for that team. A good night for Casella overall. Talman and Meyer, Casella cars on Casella Employee Appreciation Night. Two Casella cars in victory lane. We'll see if Meyer can keep that up. Behind them, Paul Verrecchio Jr., another podium run. Kevin Gambacorta, our point leader, top five after getting caught up in an accident in turn two. Went from the back up to 10th, got stuck, fell to the back again after the accident, and still finished fifth. That just shows how good that 23 is.
His podium streak comes to an end, but he maintains the championship point lead. A very competitive division right now. Gambacorta, the only repeat winner this season. 5 different winners in the last 5 weeks.
And there can be more to come because you still got Cliff Saunders. You still got Wayne Corey Jr. coming off a second-place run and more. That field is tough. It's tight. And they've been getting a little more physical in the last week. We'll see if that continues.
In the SK Lights, it's been about one driver for the most part this year. Top 4 finishes in every race, all of which but one were on the podium. Tyler Chapman picking up yet another win.
Didn't take him long to go from 10th to the lead. Half the race, really. Granted, he had some help from some accidents in front of him that he got through. A couple of big accidents early on. Chapman got to the front, but it did not come easy because he had to battle Nick Hovey before he got caught up in an accident, Alex Pearl before he got caught up in an accident, Megan Fuller before she got caught up in an accident, and then at the end, Brian Sullivan in a side-by-side finish. Chapman beat him by about 30 thousandths of a second. Those two have had some good battles over the last couple seasons in that division. 4th win of the year for Tyler Chapman, his first in a very long time. A month. That car has just been sporty. I said it before, the week before in our preview, when he finished outside the top 4 or outside the top 3 for the first time. We knew he was going to battle for the lead soon. It only took one event for that to be proven right.
You mentioned Megan Fuller for a moment. Let's talk about her. She's
led a lot. Bad luck.
Yeah, she's led a lot of laps here in the last month or so, but the finishes, you never know it.
It's been a roller coaster for that team. You just look at the results. She'll finish top 5 and then fall back to the 20s in an accident, top 5, top 10, and then a DNF the next week because of another crash that wasn't of her own doing. Bad luck last week. That car was fast. She started up front but stayed up front, battling for the lead, battling for the top 3 when things went wrong in turn 2 and then in turn 3. So that 2 team, they have what it takes. We saw her win last year. They just got to put 20 laps together. But as we saw last Friday, that was very tough to do.
Tough to do for about everyone in the field except for guys up front like Tyler Chapman and Brian Sullivan.
Who started 21st.
He had his work cut out for him to get to the front and, like you mentioned, avoided a lot of incidents in the process. In the limited late models, the streak continues. 8 races in 2024. 8 different faces in Napa Victory Lane.
A new division record. And Matt Winter, the second, makes it 4 consecutive first-time winners in that division. That 74 team, they really picked up the pace this year. Did they have winning speed? Not quite. They were a top 3, top 5 team every week, except for a couple off nights. He had that big wreck in a heat race a month ago with Adrian Paradise III. They got the car put back together, back 100% in a big way. He was fast but had to hold off Jeremy Lavoie. He got back by Jeremy Lavoie after he first lost the lead early on. Then he had to hold off Devin Jensick and Rich Hammond at the checkered flag. That is a big win for Winter, his family team. He said when he first climbed out the car, "I suck at big cars." Well, I think he proved otherwise last Friday night. He was fast, a huge win for them. They can keep that momentum rolling. We'll see him up there battling more week by week. Behind him, Jeremy Lavoie, still looking for that first win of the season. Overdrove turn 1, slid up the track, fell all the way back to 4th. That's where he finished. Matt Clement, our point leader, kind of an off night. Finished outside the top 5, but he still has the point lead. We'll see if that 50 night can get going in the right direction this Friday night.
And the Street Stocks ran their longest event of the year, the Mid-State Site Development Firecracker 30. And to no one's surprise, it came down to the 2 drivers that we expected it to come down to at the front.
Travis Haidar and Ryan Waterman. And it was Haidar getting his second victory in the 30-lapper in the last 3 years. Back-to-back wins, 5 victories on the season, which we're only 8 races in, and he already has 5 wins. And the 3 races he didn't win were chaos. That did not go his way. That's been the MO for the 11. That's why he's not the point leader. But 5 wins on the season already. I think that's about how many Waterman had last year up to this point. Haidar was fast. He got up to the front very quickly. Waterman had a bit for him on the restart. They made contact in turn 1. It could have ended bad. Thankfully, it didn't. Haidar pulled away, and then Waterman started reeling him in again in the closing laps, but ran out of time. That 11 team, when it's a smooth night, it is a fast night. We'll see if they can keep that ball rolling. The only thing he has left to break is the single-season record in the Street Stock division. He already has the all-time win record. He's looking for his second championship, but there's more that he can break in terms of records, and he's on that pace right now. Travis Downey finished 3rd. A solid night for him as the point leader. Behind him, Tyler Trott ran solid. It was a pretty tame race for the Street Stocks 30-lap event. The only trouble we saw was Matt Martell at one point. We also saw Johnny Walker run the trouble with Chris Danielchuk after something went horribly wrong in the back end of Danielchuk's car. So we'll see what these Street Stockers can do now. Back to 20 laps this Friday. If anybody has anything for Haidar on a weekly basis, because the last 2 nights, he has been dominant.
And you mentioned his 5 wins, but you also mentioned the bad nights. That's why he's 4th in points, 28 back. You need to chip away a couple of points a night on Travis Downey and Tyler Trott, those that are just ahead of him in the standings.
Well, the good news for him, he still has 3 months left in the season to get that done. You can't do it all in one night unless you get lucky, so you got to do it gradually over time, and if he keeps this up, he'll do that.
Let's hope the weather this Friday night is like last Friday night, because it was a picture-perfect day here at the Stafford Half Mile.
It was, but why would you bring that up?
Sorry.
Why? You know now, once we hit Friday, if anything happens, it's all on you, Kyle.
It's all on me, but right now it's looking good for this Friday night. All the action gets underway, 6 o'clock here at the Stafford Motor Speedway for all 5 of our weekly divisions. And like always, if you can't be here in person, you can tune us in on Flow Racing.